Hey guys, this is Asger from Breakfree Trading. In this video, Patrick is going to join me on an episode where we talk about the new RTD, how to use it, and how to avoid some of the traps that some people might fall into if they are not careful about how they execute trades. So let's get right into it.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, I remember you saying like the RTD, you were really cautious of putting that out there because, indicators have a really bad rep in the industry if you're a good trader because they're lagging.
Yeah.
But I think now, I think at this point we've realized that the RTD was a good move because some of the results people are getting with it, they're pretty good, in my opinion.
And that brings us to RTD, which a lot of people have been asking questions about how it works and how on. So let's get into it, right? What I've done here is that I'm looking at GBP CHF on 4-hour time frame. Right now, I just enlarged RTD. Usually you will see it down here in the bottom of your chart. I just done like this, just so we can get a little better look at it. And first, I'm gonna change the time frame to 1 day, and we're just gonna zoom a little bit out. And this is basically what it looks like. So RTD is a pretty cool trend detection algorithm. It works in market cycles in both a long and a short-term trend. The short-term trend is called local trend. We're calling it local. And our macro trend is we're calling global. And these two trends consist, and don't pay too much attention to the words I'm using now because it doesn't really matter. I'm just explaining you how it works. Consists of an alpha and a beta, two different sensing points, reading points of data that we are putting together. And that means each trend, long-term and short-term trend, are both working in accordance with each other. And we're going to get a little bit more into this. So I minimized RTD here. And what you should take away so far from this is that we have a global and a local, meaning a long-term and a short-term trend. The short-term is the local and the long-term is the global. Now, there's a lot of people out there already now that are comparing RTD to like what they might know as a moving average crossover strategy. And this is just this is the biggest mistake you can make right now is thinking this is the same, because it's not. It might have some properties that are shared between an average crossover strategy, but that is not what's happening here. If you are selling and buying as RTD is crossing over, you're doing it wrong. You'll lose money, and it's not gonna be good. So if you look at this now, and we actually look at what we have here with RTD, you can see that the local trend currently on GBP CHF on 1 day time frame is trading. The local trend is trading below the global trend. You can see that this low trend we have here is below this big red one, which is the global trend. And you can always identify these two by the labels out here, but you can, most of the time, you can even just read it from the chart, because when you're looking at this chart, you will notice that the global trend tends to move in a different fashion than the local trend, and that's simply because that doing a macro trend where we have markets that are for example moving down, you will have several pullbacks during a move down where the market is coming down, and it's going to have multiple pullbacks. And these pullbacks, and this is really important to understand, because in trend, when you have a good trend that you want to ride, the problem occurs that when does this trend stop? Because there's a very fine line between staying in a trend, trading the trend, and then have a trend violation where you can obviously tell that something is just not playing out like it should. And we're going to have a closer look at this so we understand it.
So I guess, so let's go back to the chart a little bit. Scroll back a bit. So right there where we have that big dip on that local, in the middle. So that's right there at the bottom. You guys can see right when the price started going back up, the local RTD already showed a switch in your kind of your momentum.
Yeah.
So went back into the global trend, and from there it kind of went sideways. We can see it's not really going anywhere right now, just based on the price. But you guys can see how accurate these crosses are. But what's important is just as Asger said, is if you trade the crosses, it's not going to work. We're not developing tech that's already out there. We could have just thrown an EMA in there, like a 40-50 EMA, and that would do the trick. But that's not what this is. We're building tech that doesn't exist out there yet. And the RTD is there to confirm the trades you're already taking.
Yeah.
So if you want to go long, you want to make sure that the RTD lines up with the direction you're going. That's what the RTD is there for. It's not there to find trades. It's there to confirm your trades.
Yeah. And that's exactly where things changed for me during the testing of RTD and development of it. I told you, Patrick, and start this call. I made $40,000 since August just trading with RTD and Navigator. These new functions that is now public. I was trading those, for several weeks, and I was able to generate $40,000 from it in a couple of weeks, which is really great. But before I did that, I got my ass kicked because I started deviating from what I always been doing, because I had to find out like how are people gonna lose money with this, and it came to me very quickly, because the problem is okay. Right now, we are on 1 day time frame, and everything that you're seeing here right now will not actually change. None of this data here will be changed or repainted or whatever words is being used out there. Nothing of this will change. But if we move into 1 hour time frame, suddenly you will see something changes. And first of all, is that RTD is no longer looking like it does on 1 day time frame, but these values that is being output are the same. We still have a local downtrend. It's still the same values that we're seeing here. It's just a different resolution. So if we again look at 1 day, you'll see that if we zoom in, you can basically see local downtrend is a bit below the global. And then if we go to 1 hour, you will see it's identical. It's the same. It's just zoomed in. So these are the same values. There should be no confusion about this. But, and this is the big but, and this is where you're going to lose money if you don't pay attention. Here's the big but. Throughout the day in a market, a lot of things can happen. A lot of things can happen. And professional traders who practice technical analysis, the good traders, they are not, the kind of people that makes decision on what happens, during intraday. They make the decisions based on candle closes. They make the decisions upon how specific candles are closing in a market, and that's really close because that's really important, because what can happen here with RTD is that on the local, the global is very unlikely to change throughout the day. It's very unlikely that there might be a minimal change, but it's very unlikely that's going to change. The local, however, can very easily change from being a downtrend to an uptrend, because in an intraday trade setup in the markets, well, it just happens that very easily a market can go from intraday downtrend to an intraday uptrend, and intraday means during the day. So this is why we don't want to make our decisions on these crossovers. So I'm going to explain to you what you need to read from this. Now, GBP CHF here is really interesting, because GBP CHF right now is giving us a local downtrend and a global downtrend at the same time. Furthermore, the local downtrend is trading below the global. So there's a couple of different parameters here. But what this means, what this is telling me right now as an intraday trader or as a scalper, not as a strategy trader, but as an XMO trader or as a scalper, what this is telling me is that I can basically short any 75 or 100% alignment level, and I can, with very high probability, tell you that's going to be a very good trade. Like very, very confidently, I can put on that trade and say that's going to be a winner, because it's very rare that you get these trades where you actually have both trends going in the same direction while they are moving towards an entry. So in this example, if I was a trader on 1 hour, I would be looking to short up here. And I can tell you right now, if the market comes up here, I can short this, and I can short that level, and I can short it with great confidence, because when you have a local downtrend and a global downtrend at the same time, these scenarios are pretty rare. You don't see them that often. So when we have them, it's kind of a deviation from the norm, and it is very reliable to trade. So you're probably wondering then, but I'm not an X mode trader, or I'm not a scalper yet. I'm just a strategy mode trader at this point. And I just want to say, there's nothing wrong with being a strategy mode trader. Hell, I wish I was a strategy trader. When I started, I wasn't. I lost money for quite some time before I figured things out. So don't feel bad about this. Understand, once you start moving into X mode trades, you're going to take more losses because you're going to make more decisions. You're going to make more mistakes. It's naturally that this is something that's going to happen as you start to do it. This is a trade-off that you take when you say, I want to do this. I want to become one of the fucking best traders in this community. My point is, when you start moving from strategy mode into X mode trades, don't worry too much about taking losses in the start. Of course you're going to take losses in the start. That's why we're on demo accounts, so we can figure these things out, right? Okay, slight deviation from the topic there. Patrick, where were we?
You were talking about the entering on the neutral level, because they both would be. So what would you do if you were looking to enter on the end level and local would be up?
I would.
Would you skip that trade, or would you look for a different entry, or would you look for a change of momentum in the local?
It depends. Now, right now we're looking at GBP CHF. I don't really know GBP CHF. I haven't really. Well, I probably traded at some point, but it's not something I don't really remember trading for a while. It's not my main market. So, for that reason, I like this current one. If local was an uptrend and we got up to here, I don't think I would take that. I don't think I would take that. But that's just because based on this scenario that we have here right now, it could play out. It's not that the trade won't play out, but right now it is, but we were just talking about if this was an uptrend and not downtrend. Right now it's in downtrend, which means I can confidently tell you I will short that level without doubt. No problem. If it was an uptrend, that would much more be a decision-based trade. Like, what is the other GBP pair doing? What is GBP USD doing? What is moving GBP right now? What other trades have I open right now? There's a lot more things, but when you have a global downtrend, local downtrend, and I get a trade opportunity like that, just short it. Don't even question it. Short it with appropriate position size, and every time I will take one of these trades, my chances of winning that trade is like, it's very high. It's very high, but we don't see these trades very often. Most of the time, let's go through the markets. Most of the time, 4 hour, and let's do AUD USD. Most of the time, we have a mix of global downtrend and local uptrend. Sometimes it's global sideways and local uptrend. And if we keep going, we're gonna keep seeing that most of the times there will be these two trends will be against each other, and that's completely normal. That's how it should be. What we need to pay attention to is that when we have a market, let's see if we can find. Okay, here's another one: GBP USD. When we have a market which is giving us both global and local downtrend or uptrend, that is just extremely strong, and I will show you why. Hang on, Patrick. I'll show you why. So here, have a look at this. This is June 30, 2020. Here, GBP USD goes into a local and global uptrend. And look at this. You could practically buy every single pullback on this market and just keep doing that. And you could keep doing that for a really long time until here. Until here, that's pretty much it, where I'm saying, okay, I'm no longer confident in just buying neutral level without questioning it. I'm not comfortable with that anymore. And the same, I would not be comfortable with it here. I would not be comfortable with it here. But here, that entire section, I am completely happy with just buying neutral level because it's strong. It's very strong. Let's go back to strategy mode traders, because these people out there might be a little bit confused. So if you're a strategy mode trader, in the past, RTD used to just look like this. You just had a display text output saying either downtrending, uptrending, or no trend or something like this. And the problem we had with this was that whenever there was change to the trend, meaning either we were about to lose a longer bull trend, or we're about to lose a longer bear trend, something that has been going on for a long time. There could be there could be quite some confusion when the market would go into sideways, like here, where it could potentially say uptrend, downtrend, uptrend, downtrend. And that's why we built the new RTD 2.0, because if you turned it on, you would not be in doubt about what happened here. You would know instantly exactly what is going on, because you would be able to see, okay, fine, we're in a global downtrend, and currently market is trending up into local. So perhaps we can find an ideal trade, like an extension trade would be great, or other options. There's a lot of options to trade this, right? But if it was still local downtrend and global downtrend, you could just short it without really questioning it, because it's that powerful when it comes to RTD. And these opportunities are very rare when they come. It really means that the market really needs to come down. Let's see if we can find some more example. Here's another example. Highlighting the global. You can see how it's just kind of showing like a long, what should we call this? Like a really long downtrend here with occasional pullbacks from local trend, and all of these are shortable, right? So whenever we have these deep dives like this, it's just you can short here, you can short here. I deviate a little bit there. Let's get back to strategy mode. You're a strategy mode trader, and you're wondering how do you use this new RTD? Well, okay, I'll tell you right now. When the market is doing something like this, most of the times that's really where you need to, okay, this was a very special scenario, this was the COVID sell-off and so on, but most of the times when we get into these scenarios is that the market could both go up and it could go down. There's no real direction of where this market is going. We would call it sideways. That's what we would call this. And that is where you as a trader, as a strategy mode trader, need to see like, okay, when things are looking fine, they will look like this. When things are not so good for you to trade in, they will look something like this. Or they will look something like, let's see if we can find something else. Here. You see this shit? Patrick, you see this shit? You don't want to trade that. You truly don't want to be engaged in this. Whenever you have global collapsing from, like a broad structure like this into something really tiny like this, it just means there's no trend and there's nothing really to do. Go find a different market to trade.
Well, I think, we make it easy for them, right? We show them where to enter, where to exit, and those trades are going to be based on the RTD. I think the biggest thing is moving to break even. That's always the biggest question, is like, when do I move to break even? Is now a good time? And for me, there's no reason to move to break even if the global trend is still in your favor. Yeah. And that the RTD really helps you to stay in trades, because it gives you confidence that this trade can still turn around. So if you're in drawdown for a trade, you're thinking, should I move to break even? Should I not? If the RTD is not switching, meaning global is still bearish on your short position, mm-hmm. there's no reason for you to close that trade. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is that? Do you have the same opinion, or?
Yes, I do. Let's see if we can find an example. Let's see if we can find strategy mode or something. So EUR-CHF is a market that BFT traders have been milking for the past months. This trade has basically played out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times or something. Ridiculous at this point. And that is just sideways. At this point, when we're getting to this point where the trade has been repeated, more than 3 or 4, 5, 6 times, it's becoming quite unreliable. It doesn't mean you can't make money in it. It just means that it's less probable for you to make money in it because it's already played out so many times. And it's just, at this point, look at this. But the entire time, people have been longing EUR-CHF exactly on this level and making money multiple times, which is really awesome, right? That's really
that was crazy.
It was ridiculous. So it's really good. Let's say we're in a long position. Okay, that's not the example because we are talking about drawdown. Let's look at AUD JPY, as you said.
Yeah, the signal is gone now, but yeah, there was a short signal on it, and you're lots of people are short on it, and you can see the global says downtrending. So
there's nothing wrong with this trade. I mean, technically,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong there.
there's nothing wrong with the trade. The thing is, we can, when we start with this, we can either accept the cost of trying to micromanage the trade, so we can let them play out. But to be honest, the problem is that if you start to move trades to like break even too early, you will sometimes miss these trades as they just come back from here and go straight through the level. But if you are a trader who's looking to improve yourself, what I suggest you do is that as often as you can, try to move your targets to break even if the trade is not in your favor, and then get in on the retest. There's nearly always a retest, and for those scenarios where there's not a retest, that's fine. Then on to the next trade.
That's exactly the way I do it too. If I don't feel comfortable with the trade, there's something I see, and it tells me I shouldn't be in this trade anymore. Whether it's my instinct or whether I see something that's against my own analysis. And again, I've been trading longer, so my experience can be different than yours. But if I'm not happy with the trade, I'll move to break even, get out. If I see a full candle closing back below that level where the entry is, these levels are like magnets. Price always goes back to retest those levels. So there's a very high chance you can get another entry after moving to break even.
That is for sure. AUD JPY, I mean, I think it's a very fair trade. And if we look at RTD here and we see what it's doing, okay, so I think this is a good example of where RTD is doing some trickery. If we go to the lower time frame, so you see here, okay. This is why I love RTD. It's so cool that already here it's like starting to say, okay, momentum is dying, and we'll probably pull back, and then the pullback comes afterwards. It's pretty cool that it's happening before the pullback. But what I wanted to talk about was that if you sell on the crossover and then you start buying on, you start trading these like a crossover strategy, it's not going to work. It's not the way it's intended to be. The way it's intended to be is that, okay, right now on AUD JPY, I have a short opportunity on this market. I could do something like this. This would essentially be my trade or something like this, right? The way I would look is that I put my trade on. I'm looking at, okay, that looks interesting. We have what is that? Is that a lower high? This looks like a lower high so far, and so on. You can make your own analysis from it. And then what you really want to check is that just with RTD is like, what is the trend doing? Okay, right now I'm looking to short AUD JPY. Okay, I'm looking to short AUD JPY. What is it doing intraday? Okay, intraday it's pretty high, but it's also been up here for quite some time, and it's been in an uptrend since April. It's not like we were trying to short it too early or something. It's like now the momentum is really dying. It's a very fair trade, right? And then we go look at 1 hour. RTD will be saying the same. There'll be no difference there. But what I want to look at is like the price action. I'm like, okay, I'm not sure. I don't know about this. I mean, honestly, AUD JPY is not something I traded that much. It's not one of my main markets. So if it's not a market that I feel like I have a very good sense of how this market moves, how it is behaving, meaning that I know when it's behaving like I don't want, and also I know when it's behaving like I want it to. If I don't have that confidence with that market, well, I might as well just move a little bit on until I find like a better opportunity, because it's not exactly what I want to see here that I'm seeing on this level right now. I bet if we went through the watch list, we'd be able to find better trades, maybe even better trades on AUD. Let's see. Okay, great. We have AUD CAT. And are you seeing what I'm seeing, Patrick?
Yeah. Well, I see global. Wait, let me zoom in on your screen. Global's down, local's down.
Yep.
I mean, just short it. Short it, man.
Just short. but don't market sell. Sell the levels.
No.
Sell the levels.
So the way I look at this is you can either wait for price to go up again, or you can wait for the break of support, let that turn into neutral, and then sell that neutral level again, right? So the entry on the NNR, that would be nice, in my opinion.
That would be beautiful. but I don't
Yeah,
think
if it goes back up there.
but I don't think it's gonna
I'm
get
not,
there. I just don't
yeah,
think it's gonna get there, right? And
no.
it can, of course, it's entirely possible that it gets there. One thing to be said is that I'm very confident that if it gets up here, and I don't know how local would be looking at that point, um, because I think essentially what's happening here is that let's say that this moves down like this, and then it starts moving up again. Already here, local is going to start to move into an uptrend when it starts doing that.
Yeah. I think the best trade here would be just to wait for the break of that support.
I mean, the best
Because
trade,
then,
the best trade
because then,
was 8 hours ago.
yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, this looks good. And if you look at the global, it just switched to a downtrend. So if that local starts to expand again, so like the lines between like the alpha and the beta, they get bigger again, then we can really see a nice push down, like a trend collapse further down into like the support
Yes.
you have here on the daily.
So let's talk about AUD CAD, because you're mentioning some really important points here. If you look at AUD CAD here, I think it actually shows like just how beautiful RTD works, right? We have this madness with the COVID, and then pretty fast AUD CAD establishes a bull trend. Already here it's starting to locals crossing into a bull trend, okay, and then something we haven't talked that much about is that when local starts trading above global, that's a really good sign. That is the first sign you're going to see before global changing into an uptrend. The first thing you're going to see before a market changes into an uptrend is that local is going to start to trade above the global. And as you can see back here, global was still bearish, but local was so much higher up here, and so high up, it was like, okay, you could try to short it, or you could just buy it. Pretty fast it will change. Global changes into into a bull trend as well, and it's the same story as the AUD we looked at before. Every single buy here, you could be buying this and you would be making money right up until here. You see, what's interesting to see here is that we have local trend is trading above global here very, very positively. This is all looking very good. We can confidently buy this. Now here we're starting to get some dips where it's actually hitting the alpha itself, which is it's trying to push below the global, and it bounces up. But this is where we start to see some weakness. But it's not more than that. Don't read more into this than, okay, it tested it and it bounced, and then it tested it again and then it bounced. But it's very easy to see that this is different from this. You see, this is like this is just an uptrend, and then here we're starting to go into some sort of consolidation. And you can see this by how the global width of this is reducing, but it's still too early to short, and that's really well shown by RTD here. So what then happens afterwards is that it continues here, and you can see this as well. This was actually a strategy mode trade on, actually, wait, I think there's a strategy mode trade. Yeah, there's still strategy mode.
Oh, yeah. I made some good money on that
one. Yeah, and this was with the old RTD. And the new one, as you can see, the new one, local was giving us kind of the same selling point here, but I remember people being in this trade and they're very anxious, and that's fair because we had like 7 days of consolidation here. So to be fair, if I had to review this trade, I would say it was too early with the old RTD, the first trade here. But now I would say that this is looking really good. Now I think it's quite realistic to expect AUD CAD to test this level here. I mean, look at this level.
Yeah, it's primed. So if you're a trader, an expert trader, you're looking at this, kind of the way you would think about this is, so okay, you look at the RTD, you see, oh wow, the global downtrend is now down. Local is also below the global trend, which could indicate a kind of a trend collapse. Now that doesn't mean just short it. It means, okay, what levels do make sense? Where can I find an entry to take a potential short? Because as we said before, if both local and global line up, That doesn't happen very often, and the probability of your position going into that direction is very high if you enter on a very good X mode level. So either the 75%, 100% levels,
That's the
those
point.
are going to be your best levels.
Yeah, it's a really good point, but because none of this is gonna matter if you're not trading the levels. If you don't trade the levels, you might as well just pack this shit up now and go home. You're not gonna make money. I guarantee you're not gonna make money.
Well, to be honest, you can delete your MetaTrader, you can delete your trading accounts, and then that's it.
Save the money. Save the money. Go to a casino, and I think you'll have better chance at the casino. To be honest, if you're not,
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah, and if you're a day trader or even just a swing trader, or even if you're just a trader, the RTD, especially the local, if you're day trading, it's going to keep you out of so many bad trades. If you just go through some backtesting, you can see some of the trades that you would be taking, you're now not taking, that would end up in a stop loss because the local RTD is not in your favor. So it's almost like a last call if you should be taking that trade or not.
Yeah. Of course, we're gonna make more improvements to RTD. It will build an intelligence system. It's gonna tell you when you're doing bad things and when you're doing good things. We'll do this for you, but for now, you have to use your human mind to read this a little bit. I think we're gonna recap a little bit here on the major factors that you need to know about RTD. Let's summarize everything here. We have two trends. We have global and local. They each consist of a beta and an, okay, sorry, that's too far zoomed out. We have two trends. We have the global and we have the local. Each of them consists of a beta and an alpha. And these are two different reading points that we are using to read the market and giving you an update. But, giving you status on what is the market doing right now. But those are not the only factors that matters. What matters is how is the local trend trading? Is it trading above the global trend like here, or is it trading below, or is it dipping below like it's doing here? And you can very easily get good at this just by going and looking at some charts. You very quickly pick up and start to see. Okay, you'll start to see the first thing that happens before a major change of trend is that it crosses below every time. Every time it's gonna do this, every time, and that's just because of how it works. So the first time it crosses below, that's your first sign, like, okay, something is not good. But it's entirely possible for it as well to do like a fake out, like it's doing here, where it's moving up, it's still bearish, and then it comes back down. That's entirely possible. So all this is when we have a trend reversion where it's going down, is that it's just like a very early sign that this should be something you should pay attention to. So the second thing you want to pay attention to is that what are the colors of this? Are they red or are they green? If local is red, that means it's bearish. If global is green, that means it's bullish. That's how it works. And the last thing you need to pay attention to is the width.
Yeah, I guess the space between the alpha and the beta, or the two lines.
Exactly. It indicates how strong the current trend is. And as you can see, it's kind of interesting because you can see when local moves into global, you can also see how that's kind of cutting away the trend. You can see here, you can see how the trend is being reduced, and then here finally collapsing over here, right? So
I think this is really powerful for swing traders.
Oh, it is.
Because they can see when they should maybe take a partial position off the table, or if they should close. Like if you got in on that, let's say you saw a good buying opportunity based on your trading plan, and the global RTD is switching at the at the bottom there, at the bottom of the bullish trend. You got in on that,
yeah,
because your trading plan said so. You confirmed that with the RTD,
yeah.
And now you found the top. Like it's very hard to do this stuff with your own analysis. At least in my experience so far. But if you have the RTD and you can see the momentum slowing down, you can see the lines or the space between the RTD is getting smaller. Okay, maybe we gotta have a shift here. It doesn't mean I should close my position. It means maybe I should watch out and see if there will be a trend change.
Exactly. Excellent set. It is really powerful for whether you're scalping or whether you are trading, you're doing swing trades or intraday trading. The trend of RTD is designed for one day. It works well for 1 hour as well. It works well across all time frames really. But when you're trading these low time frames, the only trend that you should pay attention to is the market itself and the price action structure and what is it doing. Okay, we got Is this a lower low? We got a wick down. Did these stops get taken? Stuff like this is what you need to pay attention to. If you're a strategy trader and you feel frustrated by these trades that might go into like a no trade zone, where there might be a trade, AUD, JPY, there might be a trade and then it goes away and it comes back and so on. If you're frustrated by this, understand that strategy mode trades are designed for 1 day time frame. They're designed for you to open your computer and look through the markets once a day, and once you find a trade, you put it in and that's it. If you come back the next day and the trade is filled and it says no trade zone, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You just keep the trade you made. You just keep the trade you made.
Yeah, because guys, price doesn't change. Like, support from yesterday is still going to be a level.
Yeah.
It might turn into neutral, might turn into resistance, but it's still a level. Like, price doesn't change, right? The history doesn't change. So if you take a trade today and it changes, like the trade stays. There's no difference there.
Yeah.
Of course, conditions change. We can move either into TPs or stop losses, but the trading idea, the actual idea of the trade stays the same.
Yeah. It's something that a lot of traders they learn during their years of trading, is that you make a trade idea, you publish it, and then you end up not trading that idea, and that exact idea you had plays out, and you're like, I don't understand, because they don't understand because there's so many things happened after they entered the trade. What really happened was that they got into a trade and they didn't do their homework. They didn't prepare themselves. Is this a swing trade? Is this an intraday trade? What is this? So that's why you often will see a lot of traders who, for example, on TradingView, will make like incredible charts. Like if you go to TradingView, it will be filled with people who have great ideas and know exactly where to sell and know exactly where to put that TP and that stop loss and so on, but they don't execute on it. And I remember a famous guy in one of my trading groups, and he was so good at charting, like he was an incredible charter, but he would never make a single dime, because every single time he got into a trade, he would fuck it up. Either he would have too much risk, he would doubt himself, doubt the idea, and then he would get, just close his trade because it wasn't drawdown and he no longer thought it was valid. And then the next thing that happens is that it plays out exactly like he drew and published on TradingView. And he would just be, crushed because, his idea played out, he lost money, and he looks like a fool. And this happens to people all the time. So that's why we say when these trade setups are set like this, that's it. You put the stop loss, you have your targets, it's done, it's set. Yep. And then you can try to manage it if you want, but these trades are set. So don't think too much about it.
All I can say is trust the algo, trust the RTD, and it's a game of probability. Not every week might be winner, but if you keep putting on trades, you will be in the green. Where most people mess up is they get a loser, they stop putting on trades, and where they take that break, that's where where sometimes the best winners come in. I'm not saying just risk everything, put everything on. You still got to keep overexposure mind and stuff like that. But it's important you guys trust the algorithm. And if you stay with us a little longer, you'll notice that if you do that, you will make money. If you don't, if you try to build your own analysis in there, you think you're smarter than X mode, you're gonna lose.
Yeah, it's just how it is. And unfortunately, there is a lot of people that lose in this game. Like there's just a lot of people losing this game, and it is because of these mental mistakes that keeps happening over and over, and they don't have a strategy to trust. We know this works. It's been back tested. It's a great strategy. Levels are great. The stop loss position is perfect, and it's a really good starting point. So if there's one takeaway from strategy traders out there, is that if you're trading with strategy mode and you don't have X mode on, turn this on. So you start to get an idea of what is happening in the market at the same time, because the more you look at this and the more time you see X mode on these markets, the more time it's gonna, slowly it's gonna start to click in your brain and connect. There's a lot of people out there using X mode for trading. Like I think we're closing over like 2,000 people now using our technology. It's for a reason. It's because it works. There's no reason to doubt at this point. There's one last thing we need to touch about with RTD, and that is we have this daily open and daily close. That's what these two labels mean, daily open. So this tells you that the trend in this zone is interchangeable, meaning that this can change. This is not set, but once it reaches this DC point here, that's where the daily candle closes, and that's where the trend will settle. That's where everything that's happening in here will be done, meaning it can no longer change for the day, and the next day will begin. That's for example over here. You see, this was the previous day where the market did like this, and this can no longer be changed by what's happening today. This could only be changed by what was happening yesterday, and that means this cannot be changed by what's happening tomorrow either. So understand that this is interchangeable, but global is most likely not going to change. Local can change, but it also depends on how it looks. Like if AUD JPY went down like this right now, obviously local would probably either cross over or be very close to it, because the market is moving down. And that's just how it works. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video from Patrick and I, where we're talking about the new RTD. If you have any questions at all that you feel were not covered in this video, just drop it below and we'll get to it. It's really important for us to know that this is something that clicks for you guys, because we are working to create you guys results. It's not about creating results for us, it's about creating results for you, and that's what matters. So let us know and stay tuned, because we have other really exciting features coming very soon.